Alright, how to replace a screen in a Baofeng, what was it?
UV-5R.
UV-5R. This is September 1st, 2014, being shot in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Alright, for the Baofeng UV-5R, I've looked for many tutorials on screen replacements. Now, regardless of the buff that's going around about cheap radios and whatnot, this is probably one of the best radios I've had so far. But I'm going to show you how to get to the LCD, to remove the LCD and replace it with a new one, or swap like in my blog. So the first thing to do is remove the radio, remove the knob, keep everything organized, remove the antenna. On top, there's these two little washers that you got to remove. Now typically I'll use a flathead screwdriver to remove these, and you just want to move them counterclockwise. Once you got enough, you can just put your fingers in there and rotate. Be mindful of where your fingers are at all times, because if this slips, it's going to hurt. Of course, I cut my nails, so now I don't have anything to grip with. And they're only going to go on, one's only going to fit the other, so no concerns about that not fitting properly. Now we need to remove the belt clip. And just leave these out so that you know what you've used in the past, and you can go back to them when you put this thing back together. I'll show you a trick with these screws once I get this belt clip removed. The screws that you remove, leave them with the object that it comes with. That way you know which screws go where. Now these are star bits, or star screws, and this one's a T9. And we're going to remove this back battery plate. This just holds down the tensioner for the battery. No magnet in my driver. Now there is a spring underneath this. This is why I'm holding it down as I'm pulling these screws out. But it's not under a lot of stress, so it's not like it's going to fling across the room. But it is small, so it is easy to lose if you're not careful. Again, put your screws back in where they came from. And then this just pulls up, which is the push to release for the battery. And underneath that is a spring on the little post. So that's the only place it goes, so it's not like you get confused as to where it's going to go. Then, on the bottom here, you got two more star bits. Or screws or whatever. Now these obviously are not going to have a place when we start opening this up, so just put them off to the side. They'll be the only two screws by themselves, so you know exactly where they're going. This is the tricky part. We got to be able to pry this battery plate off from the housing. By doing this, I'm going to use a flathead. I'm going to use this, which is what we use for the nuts, to remove the back plate by just leveraging the back piece here on both sides, and it should just slide right up. Once it slides up, we're going to slide it forward. Keep in mind there's wires attached to the speaker that's mounted on the front from the back plate. Once you pull there, make sure the other side's coming up evenly. And again, when you pull this up, oh, do remember to undo this because this is going to become one piece here in a second. So when you pull up, you want to slide back just enough to clear the housing. Now it's okay for that to fall off. It's just, yeah, it's just held there by mere grip. So again, that's the wire that I was talking about earlier. We're going to just lay this over side by side, and that's good enough. There's enough wire here so that it's not catching or wanting to tear. I have before tore one of these wires off. It is a pain to solder back on. This is going to be the Phillips for the screws here.
Okay.
This is the circuit board. We got to remove these two crosshead screws, or Phillips, with a Phillips driver. Once we remove these, it is held on on the back side by two little prongs, and we just got to avoid not to scratch or anything like that. This whole LCD piece should remove by all in one shot. So we'll pull up, and the whole LCD piece comes off all by itself. The metal housing and stuff, actually, you know what? Just for the sake, we are going to have two additional screws by themselves, but we can see the difference between which ones go where. What we need to do is we actually need to flip this metal housing over, and there's these two little tabs that we're going to have to straighten out again in order for this to work. I'm going to use a small little flathead driver, or flathead bit. One small enough to fit inside there. This is a SL1, and all you want to do is just bring it out just a little bit, just so that you're clearing these two little notches here. You may want to pinch the metal housing with your middle finger and your thumb to prevent the LCD from sliding out. So hypothetically, this would be your new LCD. Now we're going to put these back in. We'll want to make sure everything is lined up properly. Don't tighten too tight, because you want to make sure you get this other screw in there and everything fits uniformly. Now before tightening down, make sure that the back of the housing is pushed back down by just taking your flathead and just pushing it back. And now we'll go ahead and tighten those screws down. Now that's sorry. Now that's all put together. You can test it by sliding the battery. Be mindful not to hit any of the buttons on the side. And of course, the screen works. So that we've confirmed, we're going to put it back in the housing, slide it forward, hold it in place, and we need to take our little all-weather cover or whatever and make sure that it's sitting
Look at those two squirrels.
Make sure it's sitting up against those on the inside. And on this other side is where the fun part is. You need to get your hand kind of in there and make sure that you are pushing down as well as pulling out on the sides. You should be able to hear all the buttons click. If not, just pull the button out just a little bit and all three buttons should work like before. And this should fit right into place. We're all put back together. Now we just need to screw the bottom back down. Not to tighten too much on one side without getting the other side even with it. And once done, go back through. Tighten them, but not too much because this is still a plastic housing. Now, we're going to put the spring over that post. We're going to put our push button. There's a little hole or a cup that spring is going to fit down in. Once in place, we're going to take that battery cover, and put it back over. Again, not to tighten one screw down too much until the other screw is even with the other. All parts can be tested to make sure they function properly. Then leaving the screws in with the belt clip makes it easier to line up with the holes. Just kind of want to lay them in the holes.
Can't see. There you go.
Just kind of want to lay them in the holes so that they fit properly. Change your bit. Kind of give the belt clip a push so that it's flush with the battery cover, battery terminal cover. We need to put those nuts back on. This one's much easier than the other, I promise you. Change back to that flat head. Now this time we're going to have to go clockwise. This one's a little tricky. What I found is to have the volume off, put it on there, and grab the volume knob and kind of turn with the volume knob. Then turn the volume back off, put your fingers back on it, and go again. Then you can come again with the flat head. And now it's nice and tight. We're going to put the knob on, the antenna, The LCD works. All the buttons work. Thank you for watching. Any questions? Any comments? Post them below. Be sure to subscribe. And anything future you want to see with ham radios or anything else, just let me know. I'll be glad to shoot